The Cardinals, busy today. Maybe not with the moves that you wanted. Maybe not with the kind of moves you like. But they have addressed their starting pitching with Lance Lynn and then with Kyle Gibson. Lynn, that deal, news of that deal emerged yesterday, and just as we were all preparing to, get ready to go on the air, about 2 o'clock, Cardinals called a news conference to announce the Kyle Gibson signing. And I have a lot to say about that. And I was typing up all kinds of notes, making sure I was fully prepared to explain things you need to know about each guy, or maybe you didn't know, or what needs to happen for them to really help the Cardinals. But also, I have a feeling that I'm going to have to wind up saying this like 20,000 times over the next 2 hours and 45 minutes. I don't think the Cardinals are done. I don't think they should be done. I'm not saying these two moves they've made are like, hallelujah, they've done it. They've built a great rotation. No, I'm not saying that. But these moves make sense if you really want to, get away from wanting the big move. And not, oh, wait a minute, I got to rephrase that. I was wrong. If you understand that, yes, they have to make a big move for the top of the rotation. But in terms of the back part of your rotation, signing two guys that chew up a lot of innings is something that had to be done as well. And, yeah, I know all about the Lance Lynn home runs. I know all about, Kyle Gibson's baseball card ERA last year. Look, I know all about that. You don't have to tell me. But I'm saying it isn't just about getting a top starting pitcher, and that challenge remains in front of the Cardinals. And if they don't do it, then their fans will be have a legitimate reason to go into some kind of outrage state where they blow all the circuitry in their head wires and all that stuff. But what else did they need this offseason? They needed stability in their rotation. They had to start 10 different guys last year. And none of them pitched, other than Miklasz, none of them pitched more than 121 innings. Although Jordan Montgomery certainly would have gotten there, but he was traded to the Rangers at the deadline, and he finished the season. If you had the Cardinals and Rangers together, regular season, he had 188. But he's not here. That's the point. And after that, man, they're not a whole lot of innings in this on this list of pitchers that are coming back. They're just very, very shaky in terms of inning supply, and yes, that matters if you didn't pay attention last season. Yeah, you need innings. You need a lot of them. And with Lynn and Gibson, you get that. But there are questions, especially about Lynn and what he can do or what can be done, if anything, to reduce the astonishing number of home runs he allowed last year. So I'll break all that down here in a little bit. We'll also let you hear some of the things John Mozeliak said. At 4:30, we will be joined by Judy Batista, NFL.com, NFL Network. And at 5 o'clock, Derek Gould, Post-Dispatch lead, Cardinals writer, Post-Dispatch and STL Today. He'll make his weekly visit with us. I guess it's time to say hello to Jim Hewer. I'll catch my breath here before I resume plowing ahead. How you doing, Jimmy?
I am well. I will just say officially again, congratulations on the Sports Hall of Fame to you, all the people that were inducted as well on Sunday. But I was very glad I was there and I was able to witness you getting the honor. And congratulations again. And it was really awesome. So congratulations.
Well, I was really happy that you were there, as well as some of my other media friends and the business people I've worked with, like the great Ben Boyd. Jim Thomas was there. Jeremy Rutherford was in the house. Not as my guest per se, but my friend for sure. I forgot to mention the other day as well, because I was kind of rushed to finish the speech, they started to like try to hit the music to get me off the stage, even though I didn't talk that long. It was kind of weird.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm very, very happy day. No, but also, guys like Mike Claiborne or Frank Cusimano, and I could name others, but it was really special to have so many of my friends there, my family there, you there, because you guys matter to me, all of you. My brother Brad, of course, we had a great time.
It's great to
meet
everybody.
Thank you all, and thanks to man. I want to get this off in terms of being about me, but get to the news of the day. But just blown away by all of the tributes or whatever you want to call them that came my way on Twitter, on X over the weekend, starting Sunday night, still going strong. It's been an unbelievable variety of people that I've heard from, and means a lot to me. This old dude was blown away by the whole thing. It's a really wonderful experience. But now I got to get back to work. So, Jim, do you have anything to add to kind of what I said about it was very important to get innings? And I'm not saying that these guys are ideal, especially wondering about Lance Lynn and the home runs, which I don't think. I mean, listen, man, I can't imagine it would be that bad for him next season. But just in terms of trying to get everyone to understand, there was a huge need for innings going forward, and I think the Cardinals at least tried to address that, and we'll see what happens. But I'll get in more into the good and the bad about this as we go along. And once again, here I go again. But I know the short attention spans everywhere in America. You got to repeat it. I totally realize they got to get a top starting pitcher. And if they don't, well, they deserve to lose all the business that they lose.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I'm going to condemn what they have done. I'm just saying we know there's got to be more to this than that. That's all. And it's a very reasonable opinion I think I have, because I've been trying to tell you, if you were all thinking they were going to get Nola and Yamamoto and Sonny Gray, no, there was never a chance of that. In fact, I was trying to prepare y'all for that last week. I definitely was trying to prepare you. Remember what I said on the show, Jim, Wednesday and Thursday? I said, look, I'm pretty sure it's not going to happen. I'm pretty sure people want those big name brands at the top of the list. Going to be very disappointed. It ain't going to happen. And I had good intel, very good intelligence on that matter from two excellent sources who knew. And, I was trying to adjust my expectations, but I also realized they got to get a top guy, and no one's backing off that. But I think people were delusional if they thought the Cardinals were going to go diving in to the deep end of the free agent pool in terms of cost. Not only diving in once, but diving in twice, and you had some people thinking they'd dive in 3 times. It's Bill DeWitt, my friend. What? He going to get in a bidding war with all these monster teams that will do whatever it takes, including another blast of absolute insanity to sign whoever they want to sign? I don't know. What do you think, Jim? I'm sorry, I'll shut up.
Here's what I'm going to talk about one thing that, and you may talk about this later, so I'm going to get too deep into it. But with these two guys, I think the most important, innings, yes, but the most important intrigue for me, or the biggest intrigue for me, is that intangible that they will bring to the staff. You talked about Kyle Gibson last week, and you like me a little bit more because you watched the Orioles pitch a lot. You told me what he brought to the staff and the stuff behind the scenes, leadership and stuff like that.
Oh, he's excellent there, yeah.
And then Lance Lynn, we know the grit that he brings to a staff, and how he's not afraid to speak his mind and let you know, hey, this is what you need to do to be better, that kind of thing. Those are two things that they desperately need for the staff, and I think they helped address those issues, not outs in ERA and stuff like that. Those are the things I think that these guys will bring that may be the most important to the staff moving forward. I hope they get great stats and numbers, and they get the same amount of innings, and their ERA improves, and Lance Lynn figures out that I have a sneaking suspicion that I think the reason he gave up so many home runs, he had to be tipping pitches somehow. I mean, gee whiz.
Who, Lynn? Yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, it was like they knew that night he gave up the 4 home runs. It was like they knew it was coming before it even got there. They were just crushing it. So maybe they can fix some of this. And this is not the sexy, great additions. And I'm with you on, hey, there's one more coming. And I've always felt this way, that the best arm that they're going to get this year in this offseason will be through the trade market. And I think that's still yet to come. Can't tell you who it'll be, but it'll be a younger arm that they can have a little bit more of control, but it's more of an upside and can bring them a little bit more of the strikeout potential that they need. I think I've always felt that's where they're going to get this, quote, new guy to push up to the top of the rotation. And they got work to do still, yes.
Bob Nightingale, a friend from USA Today, he offered an assessment that the Cardinals were the favorites to land Sonny Gray, and I don't rule that out. And Sonny Gray would be a terrific addition. And for people who say, well, he's not a number 1 starter. Well, I don't know. He was the 4th best pitcher in the majors last year in terms of wins above replacement. He had one of the lowest ERAs by any starting pitcher in the majors, 2.83, and his fielding independent ERA was the best in the American League, and he threw a lot of innings. So yeah, he's actually a number 1 starter. I really don't know what people think a number 1 starter is anymore.
There's only
Steve Carlton, when he won the Cy Young in Philly, Bob Gibson, circa 1968. I mean, by today's standards, and listen, no one has to apologize for what Sonny Gray has done the last couple of years. He's been excellent. No one has to act like, oh, that's not even close to being a number 1. Again, what the hell are you expecting? It's 2023. It'll be 2024. A guy like Sonny Gray absolutely is a number 1 starter. But anyway, I digress. And I'm sorry for being so feisty, but that's what happens when I don't do shows.
There's a lot going on since we last talked.
A lot in the tank, so I'll try to calm down. I'm being a little too acerbic. So number 1, I would not rule out Sonny Gray. I have no reason to rule it out until he signs with another team. However, I may remind you that, and if you've been, listen, I don't blame you if you've been paying attention because, I sit around and monitor this stuff all day. But the Atlanta Braves are gunning for Sonny Gray. They really want Sonny Gray. So I say, listen, the Cardinals may be the favorite in terms of needs and, the assumption that they're going to go hard for a top starting pitcher. Based on that premise, yeah, you can say, well, they better be the favorites because they need him more than just about any team out there. But if the Atlanta Braves are already been busy making moves of their pitching staff and they really wanted Aaron Nola, they never had a chance to get him because he obviously chose and he wanted to stay in Philadelphia, and they made him a hell of a deal. And he actually took less money. Jimmy, I was laughing real quick. Another side over the weekend to the news. Or Monday morning, the news that Nola had re-signed with the Phillies. It was one of the things that drives me absolutely nuts. It's like, oh, DeWitt didn't get him. It's too cheap to get him. When you're a free agent, no one else, you get to decide on where you want to work. You get to pick the team. He clearly wanted to stay in Philadelphia. So how this is Bill DeWitt's fault, I have no idea. If you say, well, he would have gone for top dollar. Well, he didn't even do that to stay in Philadelphia. That's where his heart is. That's where his career has been. And he wants to help lead that team to an actual World Series title after they've come close a couple of years. So, if we're going to criticize ownership management, well, do it for like a legitimate reason. Not because you think like somehow, no, Nola's got to go where I want him to go. It doesn't work that way. Sorry. Anyway, the Braves absolutely wanted Nola, and they did have some conversations with his agent. But they also realized Aaron Nola was absolutely committed to staying in Philadelphia. They just had to work out a deal that was close to, would make sense for him and like give him obviously a very healthy boost in compensation. So I got to be skeptical, and I think most people are skeptical. If the Atlanta Braves are going to be, if they're really going to be aggressive trying to sign Sonny Gray, I have doubts that the Cardinals would win that one.
Yeah.
I surely do. But who knows? I don't even want to say, well, maybe. No, I don't even say that. I think it's best to be skeptical. There's no reason to just like talk yourself into believing, like Yamamoto, Nola, and Gray. They're all coming to St. Louis. Because most said you're going to get 3 starting pitchers. Yeah, by the way, and I'm not defending him, I'm just reminding everyone, he never said there are going to be 3 top starters. But they need one. And I agree with what Jim Hewer said, and I was saying it all last week. More and more and more, I thought the way they were going to do this is like they're the the high-end starter, the top-end starter they've been looking for is most likely to come on the trade market. And so you can load up your search engines with the names Dylan Cease, Shane Bieber, Tyler Glasnow, or one of the Seattle dudes, because they have multiple guys they might be willing to trade. It depends on who they want to trade and what they can get. So I still think that's my assessment. If it ain't Sonny Gray, then they're going to have to make a trade for a starter.
Mm-hmm.
Before we're going to. You want to listen to a couple things now, and then we'll.
Sure, we can do that.
Yeah, we'll take a break, and then I'll come back and I'll try to break down a couple of things that we all should know about Lynn and the problem potentially with Lynn, but also and actually, if you listened to the show last week, and I sound kind of obnoxious. I don't mean to be. I think Jim Hewer will back me up on this, and people who listen every day back me up on this. Did I not all but basically say, essentially say, hey, they really like Kyle Gibson, and
you did.
Don't be surprised. So I mean, I'm sorry to be obnoxious, but I was 100% correct. I said that last week, and I also said, Jim, and you remember this. It was late in the show. I did a little work on Kyle Gibson, and he's better than people assume. And I know right now people are spitting out their coffee after I said, well, as usual, whatever opinion I an opinion I have like that you may think is just absolutely nuts. Do you think I just throw that out there willy-nilly, or do you think I back that up with research and facts and stats? I think by now I back it up. So I'll fill you in on that stuff as well. I don't want to play the opening statement. It's probably too long. Let's go to cut number 2. That's John Mozeliak talking about how these moves reflect a need for innings.
Look, I think on any given day, that's your one. I think that's the thing you have to realize about baseball. You play every day. So to go out and just sign one elite pitcher and then do nothing else, that's not going to solve our problems. Our problems were getting deeper into games, and both these two gentlemen pitched a lot of innings last year. One did it on a very competitive team, one got traded to a very competitive club, and they both bring not only experience but the ability to do that, and that's important. As I said, this is not the finish line. This is just a day. I'm not going to predict what's going to happen over the next month or 2 months, but we know our work isn't finished.
Well, Jim, that's good of him to hear. I mean, I'm glad he clarified that, and I'm not being sarcastic. I'm glad he did. It's not the finish line. And he made a point there that I agree with. When the Cardinals had such a dire need, not just for an elite starter, which they do, but if you bring – I'm 100% on board with what he said there. Okay, you can bring in an elite starter. The problem is you have a 5-man rotation. The problem is you may have to start 6 or 7 guys. So you get an elite starter, and he's great, but the rest of it is junk, and you're not getting innings from them. You know what you have? You have that Phillies team that lost like a million games, even though Steve Carlton was unhittable that year, whatever year that was.
Yeah.
The Phillies had a losing record. You have an elite pitcher, but it doesn't matter if your bullpen is trash and the rest of your rotation is junky. The Cardinals had a dire need for innings, and so they were able to check that off the box. And again, this is targeted. My message is directed at like reasonable people who weren't expected some like wild fantasy to come true. It became pretty obvious as things went on when Mo started to backtrack a little bit, trying to lower the expectations some. You could see where it was going, and I was able to adjust that. I said it last week. My own feelings on it. I said last week. I said, look, man, if they're not going to go all out on like two top guys or whatever, they better get depth. They better get volume, and that volume includes a volume of innings. So they address the need there. Let's listen to John Mozeliak when he was asked, are you still looking for a third starter?
No, I'm still probably thinking more in terms of 3 based on how things are looking. But I think the offseason is very fluid. Things change. We haven't really taken a huge deep dive yet into the trade market. So we'll allow that the next couple of weeks for that to percolate and see where that goes. But, still looking to add to this organization.
He avoided the mistake that he made late last summer when he sort of led everyone to believe, oh man, Cardinals going all out. They got to get 3 starters. And everyone's assuming he meant, higher caliber starters, all 3. And he's like, oh man, it sounds like they're going to actually go for it. They're really going to be aggressive. And, he made a mistake because he misled people and gave them the wrong perception about what they were going to do. And that's his fault. His messaging was poor. That's his fault. And that's why people started getting mad as soon as it started to dawn on them that he didn't mean he was going to get 3, top-end starters, like a number 1 and a number 2, and then maybe a number 3 or whatever, however you want to play with the numbers or the titles. So I think what we heard there is he's avoiding falling into that trap that he sets, that he alone set by like sort of leading people to believe that there was something going to happen and it's going to be big and blah, 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 blah. No, he's leaving himself out there, but he still thinks 3, and he mentioned, hey, man, trade. He made sure to mention trade. Again, I got to think that they're at least making some type of effort on Sonny Gray, but we'll wait and see. I think the trade's probably the better odds right now, and that's going to be a while because the teams that have these pitchers are going to be fielding all kinds of offers. Let's listen to one more before we take a break, and that would be cut number 5. Why Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson fit in St. Louis?
Well, obviously, we think this ballpark will play better for him. He did give up a lot of home runs, so very well aware of that. I think the other thing is he wants to show that he can be better than that. I think Lance with a chip is a good Lance, and I think he's got a little chip on his shoulder.
And how about Kyle specifically? What do you like?
Just like his consistency, and I think when you look at both these guys, they understand what it's like to pitch at this level. They know what the expectations are, and there's a phrase we sometimes refer to as going pole to pole, and these guys understand that, and that's what this organization desperately needs.
Agreed. And when we return here on the Bernie Show, I'm going to dive into the case of Lance Lynn and all those home runs last year. If you add the 1 postseason start, the dude allowed 48 home runs last season.
Crazy.
And let me read you this too, like just in terms of regular season stats, right?
Yep.
This goes back to 1900. The highest home run rates allowed by a pitcher in a single season, 180 minimum, 180 inning minimum. The highest home run rates, the 4 highest home run rates allowed in a season by a starting pitcher. Jose Lima, 2.2 home runs per 9 innings in 2000. Second on that list, Lance Lynn, 2.16 homers per 9 innings in 2023. Bronson Arroyo, 2.08 homers per 9 innings in 2011. Number 4, Lucas Giolito, 2 home runs per 9 innings in 2023. No other starting pitchers have worked at least 180 innings in a year ever. They're the only 4 that have had a home run rate of 2 per 9 innings or higher.
Huh.
So Lance Lynn just had the second worst home run rate by a starting pitcher since 1900. Yeah, there's some work to do, I'd say. There's a lot there that you're going to say, oh, no, whoa, what can they do? We'll talk about that when we return here on The Bernie Show, 590 Fan KFNS.